Hello, you're watching Pennyhill Junction. This is episode 17 of the Meet the Fleet series. In this episode I take a look at the Hornby R3808 Arriva Cross Country Class 43 HST pack. And I also look at the Hornby R8120 Class 43 MTU engine TTS Sound Decoder. And so here it is, the final HST to arrive at Pennyhill Junction, which now completes my modern era Riviera line HST fleet. And this is the Arriva Cross Country Class 43 HST pack. And this is Hornby product code R3808. So this HST pack contains the motored power car 43357 and the unmotored power car 43304. So those of you who have seen my previous HST Meet the Fleet episodes, you'll know that in the past I've used the Bachmann 8-pin decoders. Well, on this occasion I thought I'd introduce some sound to Pennyhill Junction, and I've purchased the Hornby Class 43 HST twin pack sound decoder with the MTU engines. And so the next thing for me to do is to get these power cars out of the box, get the bodies off and get the sound decoders installed. So I am going to video my progress on installing those sound decoders. As I said, this is the first sound. This will be the first sound unit on Pennyhill Junction. So if all goes well, it will obviously be hopefully of interest to some of you who may have not done this before also. But it gives me a reference point that if I'm to install a sound decoder in the future, which I'm sure I will do, it means I can look back on this video remember exactly what I did. That's providing it all goes well, of course. With the two power cars now out of the box, the first thing to notice is the roofs of both these power cars. So it is prototypical with the real life units. As you can see, the deflectors have been removed, the exhausts are slightly different, some of the panelling here as well is different, and also this sort of fan assembly area as well is different to what you would usually see if I just move the camera up on the first Great Western or Great Western Railways HSTs. What you can see, they've still got the deflectors, different exhaust ports there, as well as some of the panelling, and this fan assembly area also being different. Don't know if any of that is the correct terminology. I'm just basically sort of saying what I see. I'm certainly no expert in the Class 43 locomotive and its exact part names, but it's good to see that Hornby have brought this model out the correct up-to-date prototypical tooling. Okay, so I now have the motorized power car ready for body shell removal. Now, so most modelers have got an HST in their fleet and have obviously installed DCC decoders, be it standard or sound decoders. But for those of you who may not have taken the body off a Class 43 model from Hornby before, it is simply 4 screws, 4 small flathead screws underneath each of the bogies. You can just see 2 on that side, and there's a further 2 on this side. So I'm going to get those 4 screws removed, get the body off, and then install the first of the sound decoders. Okay, so the body has now been removed. Once the 4 screws have been taken out from the bottom, it's simply a case of just lifting from the rear, sliding it forward, so this bottom section of the body just slides out from the bottom here, and then it should pull away. Obviously don't pull away too hard because the light unit is connected directly to this PCB. So you can see there's the blanking plate, which I'll remove and then fit the sound decoder. Now what surprises me as I've opened up this first of the twin pack, it does have a lot of information about the decoder itself and its various functions. There is another piece of documentation here which tells you to sort of read through before fitting your TTS decoder, but I can't actually see any instructions on how it should be fitted. So I've fitted lots of decoders, so I'm sure there's nothing too complicated on that part, and from what I can see, the speaker appears as though it has some screw holes and some screws supplied, so I can only assume, looking at the spaces available in this body, or sorry, within the chassis, that the speaker will just sit in here, and I would imagine screw into some of these available holes here. Anyway, as I said, trial and error. I'll get the sound decoder out of the packet and have a bash at getting it fitted. So join me in a moment. Okay, so the sound decoder and speaker have now been fitted. Originally I thought that the screws provided here would fit in the holes, if I get close enough, the holes in here would make sense, but they don't fit, they seem to be too big. So what I've done, I mean it's a fairly secure fit in that compartment there, so what I've done, it does advise you to insulate the decoder, which I've done right round, so it's not obviously drawing heat from the motor or being impacted by heat being drawn from the motor, but I've also put another layer of insulating tape over the top just to hold the speaker a little bit more secure, hopefully without affecting any of the sound quality. So I'll get this body back on and then do the same with the unmotored power car. I won't go through the initial steps again because that's the same, but I will show you just briefly what the sound decoder looks like installed, so you can see if there's any difference in terms of the chassis or the compartment or how it's fitted in place. So join me again in a few moments. Right, well, you join me now at the unmotored power car, and as you can see there's a lot more space here at the back end of the power car. However, what I found is actually I was expecting that maybe it'd be a similar sort of position, the speaker would fit in here, but actually it's the gap between these two screw holes is not quite large enough. So what I actually had to do is, if you can see in there, just cut back some of these plastic lugs, and I've got a little bit, I mean it's not fixed tie, but I've got a little bit of double-sided tape underneath just to stop it wobbling around too much, but as you see there still is a bit of movement there, so I may have to, if it starts causing any issues, may have to put some tack down there to keep that fixed in place. But I've insulated the decoder again, obviously to protect that from any internal damage. So I'll pop the shell back on, and then we'll get both power cars onto the program track and ready to put on the layout. Okay, so I've just come back to the motorised power car to point out a rookie mistake. So you may recall earlier on in the video, when I put the sound decoder in place, I actually had the decoder over this section here. However, I found that the fan assembly protrudes quite far down from the roof, so I couldn't put the body back on. So what I've done is I've moved it and rested it on top of the PCB, where, as you can see, there's much more space available. What I also did, as you'll see with the insulation tape, you'll see there's a couple of holes there. I accidentally put insulation tape over these two holes here and here, which are of course the screw holes for screwing the body onto the chassis. So another little error there. So I've just moved it along slightly, just to keep that speaker in place and stop it from moving around too much. Okay, so now I've corrected that issue. I'll get the body back on, get both power cars programmed, and get them on the layout. Okay, so that's both units running in both directions. So now it's time to get these coupled up to the rake of 7 cross-country Mark III sliding door coaches, and then send it out in service for a nice little running session. But before I send it off for a running session, as I said, I'll get both these power cars coupled up to the coaches, and then we'll go through some of the sound functions available on this TTS decoder. Okay, so that's both power cars now coupled up to the new cross-country sliding door Mark III coaches from Hornby. And now I'll go through the various sound functions that are available on this Hornby TTS Class 43 MTU engine sound decoder. Okay, so there we have it. That's the new Hornby Arriva Cross Country HST Train Pack, complete with Hornby Class 43 MTU TTS sound. Sorry this video was a bit longer than most Meet the Fleet videos, but I did want to go into a bit more depth in this one with the installation of the TTS sound chip. Hopefully someone finds this of benefit or finds it useful, but it's certainly be useful for myself in terms of a reference video. So should I decide to put TTS sound on my other HST sets, I can obviously take a look back and recall how I went through the process. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, certainly as much as I've enjoyed filming it. You can see in front of you now you've both got the Arriva Cross Country HST as well as the recently released GWR in Intercity 125 livery, Sir Kenneth Grange. Two fantastic power cars, and you know, excellent work again from Hornby. So very pleased to have these on the layout. That pretty much completes my HST sets on the layout. I think if anything, there's probably just the new measurement train will probably be the only other HST in keeping with my region here, which is obviously modelling the Great Western Main Line, or specifically the Riviera line. But for now though, I think it's time to put a lid on purchasing stock and start focusing more on the layout. And with that in mind, I should have a update on the layout very soon, specifically the Heritage Station and how that's progressing. So until then, thanks again for watching, and bye for now.